what's one of the things that surprised you as being an entrepreneur?
That I get to do what I love with people that I really admire.
As an entrepreneur, it's books that you have read over the past.
I'm a classic guy. I always go with Stephen Covey with the 7 Habits. That's very good. John Maxwell, the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership.
Advice would you give someone that wants to start their business?
I would say study. I mean, before you move one finger, study, because that's the only way to go through not collecting or not cashing a check by doing what you love. But you need to study. You need to learn.
What is one of the things that you would never compromise in your business?
Principles and quality.
What key and legal financial steps should an entrepreneur take when starting a business?
The first step I would say for starting a company is let's talk about the tax impact and the different types of entity. And then you do the rest. Because sometimes it's hard to go back or reclassify a company.
Hello, welcome to BizConnect, where we dive into the journeys of business owners, exploring their beginnings, challenges, triumphs, and their exciting path ahead. I'm your host, Annalyn Carter, and today I have a very exciting guest, right? His name is Rafael. Rafael, welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure of having you here. I want you to go ahead and introduce yourself to the guests and tell us a little bit about your business.
Sure. Well, thank you for having me. I'm very excited. I'm a big fan.
All right, thank you.
Well, my name is Rafael Ferrer, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of Ferrer & Schmidt.
Okay.
We're a boutique firm for entrepreneurs in the areas of business planning, business valuations, accounting, and tax preparation and tax planning.
Are you originally from the U.S.?
No.
Okay,
No.
so where are you from? Tell us where you're from.
I'm originally from Venezuela.
Okay.
And we moved to the U.S. back in 2002.
All right.
Things were very different back then. So at the time when we came in, I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. So I didn't find a company that could give me some answers of how to do things. So that's how the company was started.
All right, so tell me, you said you always wanted to be an entrepreneur. Can you go back to maybe your early childhood? When did that entrepreneur spirit, when did that bug bit you?
I think it goes back to my dad. My dad was always, he had this entrepreneurial mentality, but I think it was also the influence from the U.S. We were watching every night, we were watching a program I think it was in Food Network called Unwrapped.
Okay.
I don't think it's airing right now. It was back in the day. And it would show the paths of different entrepreneurs in the business industry and the food industry and things like that. So that's when I said, you know what, I want to do that.
So when you migrated to the U.S. in 2002, you said,
Yes.
okay, did you start your entrepreneurial journey then, or did you started working? Tell me about your early beginnings.
Right. Well, I started the company because I wanted to do something in the food industry. Remember Food Network?
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
So obviously that didn't work out because everything that I was doing was wrong. Nobody told me. I didn't find answers to get things right.
Okay.
So money ran out really fast. So I had to do other stuff in order to support the family. But in the meantime, like a side job, I was doing business planning for immigration purposes. So I was working hand in hand with the immigration attorneys. And that's how the new company started. Even though that I still wanted to do the food industry thing, but it didn't.
So that had that in the back of your mind.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's how the company needed to change course. And I said, you know what, I think this is the best way to go. I had to learn about taxes, accounting, and everything because I didn't know much about it. And for me, it was like a black box. And for me, that was unacceptable. So that's how it started. So in 2008, we started doing what we're doing right now.
Okay. So the name of your business is Ferrer and Schmidt. So you want to tell us a little bit about who's Schmidt?
Oh, yeah, sure. She's my wife and partner in crime. She is my cable to earth. I mean, I'm technically the visionary, but the dreamer. And she's the one that says, no, we have to do this. This is the way to do it. So, yeah.
Okay, so you're a partner with your wife.
Yes.
All right, great. So when you guys first started, right, was there any challenges or roadblocks that you encountered, and how did you overcome that?
Yes. Looking back right now, I can see that we had a lot of roadblocks, but at the time we were so passionate and excited about starting a new thing that we didn't see it that way. But I would say, first of all, cash flow. For us, cash was a big issue. So that's why I needed to work on something else. But I was so passionate about doing business planning and business valuation that I didn't pay much of attention, that I was giving up my free time. And I see it right now with my kids. I mean, they're already grown.
Right.
I have 2 granddaughters, beautiful granddaughters. And at the time, I was working all the time. So I think cash flow was a major issue back then, and time.
I don't know if you said it. Was there a defining moment, right, in your starting the business that said, okay, that I think you did mention that moved you towards entrepreneurship? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I would say I always wanted, my dad, he was an entrepreneur by nature.
Okay.
And he was always doing his own thing. But I think what excited me about being an entrepreneur is that I get to do everything. Because that's basically what we do. I mean, when we're starting, you're wearing so many hats. I mean, from CEO to security to therapist to everything so in between. That I think that what's really exciting me. So doing things my own way and doing everything. That's what got me going.
In doing that, did you share some of that roles with your wife? Like, I know you mentioned that she was the one that said, hey, when you have a business, did you guys divide the roles amongst yourself?
At first, no. And that was a big issue. That was a huge issue. And then we had to sit down and say, okay, this is going to be your area of expertise. I'm not going to step into it. And this is going to be mine. And one key thing or one key conflict that we always had was about, for instance, charging. I could do the things that I do for free.
Okay.
But obviously I cannot go to Publix and say, hey, I mean, I need to pay, right? So she's the one in charge of administration and collections and all that. And I'm just a step aside. If you ask me how much we charge for a business plan, I wouldn't be able to tell you because I don't know. I don't handle that information. Yeah.
All right. She does. All right. In your early years, was there any setbacks that you had, and how did you overcome any of the setbacks?
Yeah, I think the most relevant, and I'm pretty sure that everybody shares the same situation, was pandemic. We had to go remote, and that was a major hit to our operation, especially because we're used to getting together with a client. And immigration, since we do a lot of projects, business planning, business valuation for immigration purposes, immigration just went to a halt.
Right.
And that really hurt our bottom line. So the fact that we had to retool, regroup, and come back with remote operation and being able to do the tax return and the tax planning remotely, I think that was something that we had to do really fast and helped us at the end.
Right. I know that you had mentioned in the beginning that you did a lot of for immigration attorneys. Was it like business evaluation?
Yes.
Right. And I know that part of your part of your business is doing tax planning and taxes. When did you incorporate that part into your business model?
Very good question. We started doing taxes back in 2008. And I remember because I did a business plan for a client and he was approved. And then he needed somebody to do the accounting. He said, well, if you already started the company from zero and you designed the entire company and the forecast, why don't you help me out with the accounting? And that was the first time that I said, you know what? I'm going to go for it. And we started doing the accounting. My first employee was my mother-in-law.
Okay.
And well, no, actually it was me.
Oh, you did it on yourself.
Right. That was the first time that I said, you know what, I can pay myself and I could leave off doing what I love. And that same year I said, you know what, I need to do taxes. So I started doing all the coursework and everything that will at least certify me as a tax preparer. And then everything took off.
Right. So you found a value in it, because you know what I believe too, like, right, for us entrepreneurs, like, we find, like, in terms of what you do, you did your own taxes, so you understood the steps, so you found, hey, there's a value in this where I can actually I can give this to my client and said, hey, you're an entrepreneur, you have a startup business. This is part of the having a business. This is something that you need to do for yourself. So that was great, doing it for yourself. And then, then you actually tell your clients, this is a step that they need to take in terms of owning the business.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So,
and especially, I'm sorry to jump in, but the thing is that every time I was asking my accountant, hey, how did this happen? I don't have time to review it with you.
Right.
So you know what? I need to know. I mean, this is something that like you said, it's a must.
Right.
It's not something that it's optional.
Right.
So I need to know more.
Right.
And that's when I delve into it, and that's when I learned. Yeah.
All right. Awesome. Awesome. And then you shared it with your client and said, "Hey,
Yeah.
this is part of." So, so you do taxes and then you do tax planning. Is there anything else that you added to the business?
Yes.
Okay.
And
You want
that's
to talk?
another good point. The other thing that we added, it's a department that is called corporate services,
Okay.
which is pretty much
Which is important too when you
Right.
have when you're an entrepreneur.
Yes, like for
Okay.
instance, registering a company or changing a public record or getting a license. I mean, people don't know where to go. And if you're a foreign investor or an entrepreneur here starting up, you're going to have to go to multiple offices just to get a lot of the information that we're
Yes.
giving you. So it's a company, the way I like to see it, because I've never worked for an accounting firm. The way I see it is that I designed the company as an entrepreneur for entrepreneurs. So you will get the information and you will get the information that you need as an entrepreneur in order to make decisions.
Right.
So that's how the company was.
And I think that's your I don't know if that will say if it's a tagline, entrepreneurs for entrepreneurs, right? That's what
Right.
that's how you brand your business.
Actually, well, yes, but we push it as a non-traditional accounting.
Okay.
But yeah, it's definitely it's for entrepreneurs, designed by entrepreneurs. Yeah.
All right. Awesome. Awesome. All right. So, what's a typical day like for you?
Okay. Well, I wake up in the morning, like most people do, and I make breakfast. Just one breakfast is eggs. Who doesn't like eggs?
Who doesn't like eggs?
That's it. That's all I have. Eggs and
and now the price of eggs has gone up. So
yeah, it's
just
very
one
fancy.
eggs.
Yeah, it's just one egg.
Just one egg.
Just one egg. It could be scrambled or fried. Nothing like over easy. No. It's just one egg. If you like with toast, that's on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Okay.
But anyway, I make the breakfast and then I get to the office. And first of all, check the emails because a lot of things happen overnight. And I have meetings every week. I have meetings with my staff with the different teams. Usually I leave Mondays and Fridays for planning.
Okay.
And then meet clients and addressing some of the fires that happen on a daily basis. Right now with tax season, every day is an adventure. So I don't know. I know at what time I begin, but I don't know at what time it ends. But yeah, it's pretty much all the time on the phone and responding emails.
All right. So how do you balance being, I guess, an entrepreneur, a business owner, and family, right?
Yes, I liked one line that I think was Steve Jobs that he said that it's not about family business balance but harmony, and I like that because again my partner is my wife, so we talked about business all day long,
Right.
but we don't get tired. I mean it's our passion. Last night we were talking about what kind of operating system we should install in the company. At the same time, my son, my youngest son, Rafa, he's also working for the company. So I get to see him
Okay.
every day. And my daughter, Genesis, who you know, she's also an entrepreneur. And I love having the conversations with her. And she's like kind of my advisor when I have a tough situation that I need to remove myself from the equation, which happens a lot. So that's pretty much the balance or the harmony in my house.
All right. So having a family there to assist you.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. All right. Good. I want to talk about the business that you have. How do you differentiate yourself from other companies out there that do the same, I guess, or offer the same services that you do?
For accounting and taxes, it's pretty much the level of attention to the client. If you want the easy way and shortcuts, we're not your guys. But if you want to learn and get involved and see how you can improve for next year, that would be us. And again, it's because everything is designed for the owner, for the entrepreneur, and the person who is in charge and wants to take charge of the things. We usually all of our clients that they are hands-on doing things and they don't want to just rely or delegate that responsibility to somebody else. In terms of business planning and business valuation, I think it's different because we are integrated service. So you get to have the accounting and the tax side of the business with the business planning or the strategy side, which is business planning, business valuation. And that's why I call it the non-traditional accounting. Because at the end of the day, accounting is pretty much present and past.
Right.
But when you incorporate the variable of strategy, now you're looking into the future. So now you have forecast, and now you have milestone, and you have objectives. When I meet my accounting clients every quarter, it's like a board meeting. So they need to be prepared, even though that I have nothing to do with the company because I'm not a partner. I don't have a skin in the game, but they feel like, hey,
you care,
and there's an accountability to it.
Right.
So when we meet and say, hey, what happened last quarter? Why sales were not up to the level that we said that we would be? So that accountability for them is very, very, very important.
I like that. You give them like a hands-on. It's not like they put the work off to you and you're right. So it's like it's an approach where they're more involved in the business, right?
Yes.
So they get to understand it a lot more. And like you said, you make them accountable. They feel more accountable because when they come to you and they're like, and you're looking at the numbers and like, listen, but we set this. Mm-hmm. This is what we forecasted. This is what your goal. This is what you said we were going to do. So I like that, right? Because most of the time as entrepreneur business, we have our tax guy and we just give them everything and we have absolutely no idea what they're doing or to say like how much money, like it's we're not hands-on in it. It's just like we hand it over to them and say, hey, take care of it. I don't want to do it. I don't understand anything about it, but the fact that you give your clients, like you educate them,
right yes
you educate them about so I do like that.
And maybe that's the reason why all of our clients are business owners. I mean, we don't deal with the administrator of the company, not because of anything wrong or anything like that. It's because we want the decision maker. And like you said, it's a missed opportunity.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, if we're talking about 21% corporate tax rate, guess what? That's a partner. You see, so you already have a 21% partner in stake. So you need to treat that very important.
Right, right. Awesome, right. What are one of the misconceptions, I don't know if to go back on that, of owning a business?
Oh, that everything is peachy dandy and everything is happy and you're in a convertible, Ferrari just driving around. Yeah, that's not the way it is.
So give us a little bit more insight of like, especially what does it take?
It's a lot of stress, and even though that I'm really allergic to risk, but you need to be a risk taker, and it's stress and. I don't want to discourage anybody to start their own business, but it's you have your rewards every day.
I was going to say the stress comes with some rewards too, right?
Definitely. You have your rewards and the fact that you're doing something the right way or what you think is the right way.
Right.
So I think that's, but yeah, that's one of the misconceptions of owning your own business, that you're just going to walk into the office and everybody's like, hey, boss, how you doing? No, it's not. Of course, everybody says hello, good morning, but there's issues that you have to deal every day.
Right. What's one of the things that surprised you as being an entrepreneur?
That I get to do what I love with people that I really admire.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's important.
Yeah, for me, it's very important. I need to love what I do.
Are there any good books that you're reading at this time that you probably want to recommend to anyone that's as an entrepreneur? Books that you have read over the past? Oh
yeah. For businesses, I would say start with Why. I'm sorry, but I don't remember the name of the author. But it's awesome because it brings you back to why you started this. I mean, usually entrepreneurs are not for the money. Money is a byproduct. Okay, but the fact that you can get out your service and your product the way you want it, there's there's a sense of pride in doing that. So when one client says, "Hey, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. You did a good job." That's all I care. So start with why will bring you back to that origin. So when you're having doubts, go with that one. I'm a classic guy. I always go with Stephen Covey with the 7 Habits. That's very good. John Maxwell, the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. That's also a good book. That's for business. Yeah, that's pretty much. Yeah.
What are some of the strategies that you use to help build your client base?
Well, since we're
because that's important in having a business, right?
Oh, definitely.
Okay.
And if we don't have a strong approach,
right,
even if we have a very good kitchen, we're not going to sell. So the way we do it is that since we want to be perceived as a boutique, it's always going to be a one-on-one. It's always going to be direct contact. And one of the things that we tried is to go directly with the immigration attorney, because they have this direct contact with foreign investors coming to the U.S. And that will be the starting point. But we try to do networking events, even though I'm not very good at networking. I'm very shy. I'm the guy in the corner that never talks to anybody. And but it's a one-on-one. I would say 99.9% of our business is referrals, which is good.
Right.
But we're pretty much very limited in terms of what should we do for networking. And that's, in fact, one of our major pet peeves. It's major hurdle for us. Is
Networking.
Oh yeah. But it's one-on-one. It's a boutique. We don't go. It's not about the numbers for us. It's about the quality
The
of the
quality
relationship.
and the relationship that you build
Yeah.
with clients. I think that's super important too for any business owner, right? It's more authentic in
Yeah,
that way,
right. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
more authentic. It's building better relationships, right? Instead of just like you said. I mean, you can go network and meet people or buy leads and stuff, but that authenticity that you have and that relationship that you build with everyone, you're building trust. Right?
Yeah.
Because I'm sure the type of work that you do, you have to be able to build trust with your clients, right? For
Yeah.
them to continuously do business with you,
Definitely.
right?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
very important.
And especially because you're also going to provide some insights and make recommendations that at the end of the day is very emotional. Because taxes, even though that, okay, tax is very emotional because it's talking about the money, people's money.
Right.
So when you're going to give a recommendation, they need to follow it. And in order to follow it, they need to trust you. Yeah.
Or when did you realize that you had something here, right? And that your business was becoming successful?
Okay, when 2010, and it was when we were able to quit my full-time job.
Okay.
And that's when I said, Chris, I had at the time one business plan. We have $560 in the bank account. And the rent was about $1,700, so you can do the math. So we had one business plan that I was trying to collect for about a month, and the guy didn't want to pay us. And I said, Chris, the only way that we can make this work is if you're in charge of collections. And he said, no, I'm not going to do it. I said, that's the only way. We have to. And that's when I said, you know what? We collect, and I said, okay, if we go little by little, this is a business.
So in 2010, right, at that time, when did you, okay, so now you're expanding in 2010, right? Did you hire more people to help you?
Well, that was me. Then my mother-in-law came in. Then
Okay.
Chris went into payroll as well. I had to let go of my mother-in-law. That's I hope she's not listening. Then we hire somebody to help me with the accounting. Yeah.
The accounting. Okay. So, all right. So this is around 2010, right?
Right, yes.
2010. At that point, you're like, listen, we have to do something, right?
Right.
You said that you switched over having Chris. Is that
My wife.
Your wife. Your wife now is the I would call it. I want to say, lack of a better term. She's like the bill collector.
Yes. Yes.
She became the bill collector.
She was
right?
harassing everybody.
Harassing everybody to pay. And then, you said you hired your mother-in-law who you no longer works there, but now you're starting to build some, traction,
Yes.
right? And how many more clients did you gain during this time?
2010 was a rapid growth because we were in executive suite at the time.
Okay.
Okay, so we're spread out really fast. And at the time, since we were working with immigration attorneys, we went with the flow of the region. So back in 2010, Venezuela was becoming an issue.
I was going to ask you, was there something that happened during
yeah.
2010? Why the increase?
Major exodus from Venezuela to the U.S. So we were working at the time. Usually an immigration attorney specializes in one nationality.
Okay.
So we're working with a lot of immigration attorneys with Venezuelan ties. So we were doing the projects for them. And that's how everything took off.
I want to ask you, being an experienced entrepreneur, you've been in the business for over 20 years. I guess advice would you give someone that's starting up or, who wants to start their business?
I would say study. I mean, before you move one finger, study, and at least the basis for decision making. And you need to do, even though that one of my the person that I admire the most in terms of entrepreneurship, you need to be passionate about what you do, because that's the only way to go through not collecting or not cashing a check by doing what you love. But you need to study. You need to learn.
All right. So what has been one of the for your experience, right? One of the biggest experience that you've learned in owning your own business.
That I need to be disciplined.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not saying that I don't have
But
discipline.
that helps.
But
right.
yeah, when motivation is not there because you need to work long hours, you need to say, you know what, I need to deliver this.
Right. And having I was reading something the other day, and it says like people that are like, I know successful, they have routines, right? So creating a routine for yourself helps you to maintain discipline. And because like as an entrepreneur, like you said, you're getting up every day, right? And in order to make your business successful, some days you may not want to do it, but you have to, like you said, the motivation may not be there, but you have to have a discipline and a commitment to make sure that this is something that you get up and every day you grind every day to bring it to work, build your business to where you want to get it, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Right, so-
You need to have, and that's why my week, if you look at my schedule, my agenda every week, I have Mondays, like I said, Mondays and Fridays, it's a routine. I don't change it. Even sometimes I don't want to meet because sometimes I'm tired or but I have to do it.
Right.
I have to do it. And routine, that's why every day we have eggs.
What are one of
That's the
that's
key.
key, having the eggs.
Yes.
That almost went over my head when you said that. Okay, that's interesting. What is one of the things that you would never compromise in your business?
Principles and quality.
Okay.
And in taxes, a lot of people want to cut corners, and that's something that we don't compromise.
That's
Yeah. And
because you can also get in trouble with Uncle
oh,
Sam.
definitely. Yeah, definitely. And
Yeah.
and quality.
Right.
I mean, we have a quality standard. We have a checklist of things that, for instance, if the accountant is gonna deliver some financial statements, they have to go through that checklist to make sure that the quality is there when they leave out the door.
All right. Are you planning on expanding?
Not for the moment. I mean, the company already grew last year
Okay.
up to 15 employees. I think we're about the same size that I can handle in terms of meeting my clients. Because that's at the end of the day, that's what I like. With this recent expansion, we sacrifice profit for peace of mind. Like I mentioned at the beginning, I have my 2 granddaughters and my daughter. So when she calls me, I want to be there.
Right. Right.
So I'm sorry, but if I'm in a meeting and abuelo phone calls, rings, I just, you know what? Meeting's over. I have to go.
Right. So what's the plan for the business in the next 5 to 10 years?
I would say that it's going to keep growing in terms of revenue,
Okay.
but probably not in size.
Okay.
And to make it stronger in a way that the company can work without so much of myself being there.
And you kind of think you mentioned that your son is part of business. He's
Right.
an accountant, right?
He's an accountant.
So
Yeah.
is he going to take over the business?
Well, if he's going to do it, he's going to buy it from me, and that's going to give me enough cash just to relax. But he's very good at it. I mean,
Right.
and he really, ironically, not long ago, he said that what I was doing, it was boring. But the minute that he
Look at
started doing
doing it
accounting,
now.
that's when he said, you know what, he got hooked.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's awesome. That's good. Yeah. That's good. That's good. What key and legal financial steps should an entrepreneur take when starting a business?
Good question. The starting point would be the tax application, which is the type of entity. Sometimes we'll start off by registering right away an LLC or anything. No. It depends on your situation. So the first step I would say for starting a company is let's talk about the tax impact and the different types of entity, and then you do the rest, because sometimes it's hard to go back or reclassify a company.
Can you just dive a little bit deeper and tell us just briefly the different entities they have?
Sure,
right?
Absolutely. You have a whole spectrum. You have on one end, you have the corporation, the C corporation, which is completely independent from the owner.
Okay.
It has its own identity. It's a standalone company. The company will pay its own taxes. You pay taxes on federal and state level. So that's one side of the spectrum. The other one will be a sole proprietorship. which is pretty much one person, one business. It's going to be incorporated into the individual's tax return.
Okay.
So that's completely different. And the company depends only on the owner. If the owner is gone, the business is gone. Believe it or not, but I've known many businesses, they sell a lot of money at the end of the year, but they're treated as a sole proprietorship. And then you have different types in between, like a partnership that people know as LLC, but in reality it's a partnership. That's when the company also reports the owner. But you see, there's many types of entities that depends on the type of depends on the situation of the owner.
Okay, so there isn't one best to get or one's better than the other.
No,
Okay.
because your situation may different from your neighbor. Yeah.
All right. In terms of taxes, though, is there one better than the other in terms of
Of impact?
Yeah.
Depends, because remember, your personal tax bracket goes up to 37%, and the
Okay.
corporate is 21.
Okay.
So it all depends on the situation.
Okay.
Yeah.
So as a new entrepreneur, you just need to figure out what type, I guess, the impact that it's going to make, right? That
Right.
your business. Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
Alright.
Because sometimes, let's say, like for instance, you have many other businesses
Okay.
that each you have 10 other differences of the businesses that give you $10,000 every year.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's $100,000 right there. So if you bring in one additional one, that's going to be taxed at a very high tax bracket.
Right. What advice or what I say, what would you tell your younger self?
Ooh,
Right?
patience. Just to be, everything's going to be fine.
Right.
Yeah, I would say that. Don't worry. Oh, okay, let me ask you this. How far back?
Your 10-year-old self.
Oh,
Yeah. What would you tell your 10-year-old self?
you're going to marry.
Or what piece of
You're going to
or
marry
what
a
piece
hottie.
of
Don't worry, you're ugly, but you're going to marry a hottie. That's what I would tell him. And I would be very
That's
cocky going back to school and said, dude, you know what? I'm going to marry a hottie. Nobody would believe me, but yeah.
Or let me phrase what's so that's the advice that you give, that you'll marry a hottie and
Oh, yeah,
you'll be
definitely.
successful today. So don't worry about anything, because you know when we're younger, or even go a little bit more further, when you're in your 20s, what would you tell yourself if you're 20-year-old Rafael?
No, I would say the 20-year-old Rafael, I would say, don't worry, everything's going to be fine.
Okay.
Which is something that my wife reminds me every day. Don't worry, we're going to be fine. Because you get stressed out. So don't worry, everything's going to be fine.
I'm going to add some fun questions because we're getting time to wrap up this interview, right? What is one fun fact that most people don't know about you?
Okay, I would say, I think I mentioned to you earlier, I really like horror movies. Even though that I spend most of the time with my eyes closed, but I really...
What's your best horror movie, or your favorite horror movie that you watched?
Oh, wow.
Do you have one?
Well, the most traumatic one was the Exorcist back in the 70s. I was only 6 years old when I watched the movie.
Oh.
So yeah, I'm a that generation of the Exorcist, Jason.
They have many. I think there are more sequels of the
Oh
Exorcist,
yeah,
right?
yeah. But the first one, it's unbeatable. I mean, the first one. Well, everything related to paranormal. I don't know why. It's I'm drawn to
You're
that
drawn
topic.
to that, right?
Yeah. But yeah, and my wife says that I'm very scare easily.
That's
Even though
funny. Even though you
Yeah.
That's funny. If you had to have coffee with an entrepreneur, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who, any famous, not famous, who would that be?
I think I would say Mark Cuban.
Okay, why?
He's a very down to earth guy, and he's humble,
Okay.
and he's very direct. I mean, he doesn't go around the bushes. He tells you the way he sees it, and that's it. Regardless of who's gonna be in agreement with him, or it just sees it the way he calls it for what it is.
All right, and that's something about him that you admire.
Yeah, I think if I get lunch, coffee or lunch.
Coffee, lunch.
Okay, because coffee would be 25 minutes. Lunch, I will make it an hour and a half. Definitely, Mark Cuban is the one that is going to give me more answers.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Otherwise, it's going to be around the bush. Yeah.
All right. If you had to choose a theme song to describe, or to a theme song for your business, what song would that be?
Ghostbusters? No. Well, it says, who do you call?
Who do you call? That's a good one.
There
I
you
like
go.
that. I like
Yeah.
that. Who do you call?
There you go. That's us.
That's
Yeah.
us. That's us. Right. Rafael, it was such a pleasure having you here. I learned a
Thank you.
lot about tax and tax planning, right? It was very insightful. You're very knowledgeable,
Oh, thank
right?
you.
I appreciate you being here. I want you to go ahead and tell my audience where they can find you.
Sure. Well, thank you for having me. It was great. I was really nervous, but everything was great. Well, again, we're located in Western Florida for the business planning, business valuation, accounting, taxes, and payroll and corporate services. Florida, Western, FNS, Ferrer Schmidt. Our phone number,
Yeah, go ahead, give your phone number.
954-482-9681. We can help you if you don't understand it. Don't worry, we can help you to understand the mess, and we can fix the mess. Thank you.
And what about you? Do you have a website?
Oh, yes. It's fnsprojects.com. And that's it. That's pretty much www.fnsprojects.com.
Right.
Yeah.
If you like the content that we're bringing to you, I ask that you like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for joining us, and see you next week in another episode of BizConnect.